What happens when you have a huge desire for more, like this unquenchable desire for more, and you stop listening to what your life and your career is really asking you? Today's guest, Dora Rankin, shares her journey of sobriety, needing constant feeding of this more monster, and giving up alcohol to help her find clarity, connection, and purpose. And I totally get it, right? This desire to have more, this desire that we all have, we're all human beings. It was as I'm working with this whole rebrand, and it's become a rebrand of the whole company and taking us to this next level where we're developing so many more tools for you to have peace in your life. It was so getting in my head yesterday because I'm talking about doing an event and doing all these things. And this thought that keeps coming to me is there's no way I have energy for this. There's no way I have the capacity for doing this. It always stems back to how I feel because I physically feel awful all the time. And so for me, it's this limiting belief of, I know you can dream big, but you can't do the big thing. I know you can dream of having these great tools, but how are you going to keep servicing your current clients and do all these other things, you know? And so I took on this new thought, and I thought this new energy, as I was sitting with one of the new tools that I'm creating for you guys, led me to this new thought. It said, I have a deep sensitivity to energy. That is my advantage. My body teaches me to lead with peace. I can do this differently, gently, and powerfully. And the thing is, I can do this differently. It doesn't have to be the same go, 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 always on. It can be with soft, intentional decisions that can really help me to fulfill all the things that I'm doing. And so if you have been having a hard time with this more monster, you're not alone. We've all been there. And we're going to give you some great tools to jump into to actually use to combat that so you have more peace in your life. Okay, before we jump into that, we're going to do a peace investment just for 2 minutes. We're going to give you a sacred space to invest in your peace so that you can really feel into this episode and have the intentions and the change that you really want. So if you're sitting down, I want you to get comfortable with both feet on the ground. If you're moving, if you're listening to this in the car, I get it. Just keep listening. It's okay. I want you to inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Concentrate on that air coming in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Imagine each inhale filling your body with light and worthiness. Inhaling to all those edges. Releasing any tension that is there. And then I want you to look at something in front of you, around. And I want you to notice the color of that thing. Deeply focus in on the color of that item. Notice the texture. And come back to your body. I want you to ask yourself, what am I proud of myself for today? What are you proud of yourself for today, big or small? I always think, did I get out of bed? Did I get dressed? That's pretty amazing. I took a shower, brushed my teeth. Sometimes it's just about the small things. But is a new client win? Is it visibility in a different way? Is it saying yes to that dream? Is it saying yes to supporting yourself? I want you to feel pride in what you have done or who you are. Let that swirl inside of you, that gratitude for those moments. Take another deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And if you have closed your eyes, open your eyes and come back to this space. I am so excited for you to meet our new guest and to feel the peace and the strength that you can get to receive through this episode. Dora Rankin started her career in growth in fintech, where she activated over $20 million in sales in 17 states. She broke free from that and has built an entire roadmap for businesses, including training leaders and teams to gain market share by developing a sales and marketing growth plan that fits their revenue model. That is her superpower. You can call her a fractional CEO, a business coach, or just Dora. And last year, she published her first book, The Heart Sell, a guide for women entrepreneurs seeking financial freedom. And it is beautiful, and I can't wait to have you meet her today. She's been featured in Forbes, Today, Fast Company, and is just an amazing soul. So I can't wait to see you inside the episode, and we'll see you there. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm so excited to dive into your story and your human design chart, and I'm so excited to have you on.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Thanks for having me, Courtney.
This is so great. Well, tell us, you've been sober for 21 years. What originally led you to that choice?
So I haven't talked about this in a while, so I'm really excited to share on your podcast today. It's an area of extreme vulnerability, right? People don't usually just hop on a podcast and share their story of how they got sober, or if they're in recovery. But just to give you a little bit of background, sobriety has been the arch of my entire life. So I got sober at a really young age. I was 17 years old when I went to rehab, and I got sober in my early 20s. And what led to that was I was a teenage alcoholic. So obviously, if I'm going into rehab at 17 years old, then things were pretty wild in my life while I was growing up. The interesting part is that I have, when people hear my story, they're like, oh my gosh, you must have had such a horrible upbringing that you found yourself drinking at, the age of 12 or 13. And honestly, I didn't have an awful upbringing. I had a beautiful, beautiful family. My mom was a powerhouse, and she was my hero, my mentor, my first coach, my everything. And she's the one who actually tossed my butt into rehab at 17 because she was done playing games with me. But then from there, it took me a minute before I got sober because, like I said, I was a teenage alcoholic, and then I continued to drink while I was in college, made really poor decisions. I was impulsive. I liked instant gratification. I had no idea how to actually do life the way that normal people do life. I always say to my sister, how do you do life like that? My sister was the one who always knew how to make good decisions. I didn't. The way I behaved is to give you an example, is after the first date, I moved in with you. That's the kind of decision making I had. It was awful. So that tells you how chaotic my life was. And it was all self-induced, and it was all because I drank too much, too often, and did stupid things. So I got married young, and I got divorced young. I got married while I was still drinking. I had 2 daughters. I didn't drink during their pregnancies, but I had 2 daughters, and then I was divorced by the time I was 25. All while I was going to school, college, and got my degree, and then I got sober. And when I got sober, there's a million ways to get sober, but for me personally, my anchor has always been Alcoholics Anonymous and 12-step recovery. So that's just for me. There's a million ways. I've been fortunate to live a spiritual lifestyle inside 12-step recovery for the last 2+ decades, which is lovely. Yeah.
That's amazing. What do you think you were escaping from? Because when people, was it worthiness or numbing. I mean, it's always numbing, or, it's like part of the
Yeah.
picture. What were you escaping from during that time?
So I'm addicted to more. I like, whether it's a drink, a
Mm.
drug, a man, or a cookie, gimme, gimme, gimme. I love more, 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 more. And I love instant gratification. I have two daughters, and my oldest daughter, she's not content with anything. The moment she gets, a degree, or she gets this or she gets that, it's never enough, and she always has to go get more. Where my other daughter is content sitting on a lake, staring at a tree, saying, "My life is so good. Things are great. I can be content." That wasn't me. And so for a an alcoholic of my type, I loved more. And so drinking was perfect, right? Because I could get all the things. So it wasn't a matter for me. And I know I mean, we all have different personalities, but it wasn't to numb. It wasn't to because I wasn't good enough. It wasn't to because I was depressed, or it wasn't because something really bad happened in my life at all. It was because it felt good and I wanted more of it. Yeah. And we
Yeah.
all
Well,
want
and
things
I
that
think
feel
that
good.
is, yes. Well, and really, that overworking, I think of the sabotaging thoughts in our minds of overworking, right? This is very
Hmm.
similar to overworking tells us, hey, the more you do, the better you're going to feel, the
Yeah.
better you're going to, the more things you're going to have, the more that this program or offer is going to turn out, right? More, more, more.
Yeah.
It's driving with that more thing. And when we really come back to peace is actually the driver, contentment is actually the driver, it allows us
Hmm.
to feel and celebrate into those moments where we just tend to jump over, there's not
Hmm.
a whole lot of celebration in the more, there's not a lot
There's
of whole
none. Right.
contentment. Yeah, yeah, totally. What like helped you the most, do you think? What like thought or tool helped you the most to kind of tell that more monster, hey, shut it, and I know it's a lifelong thing, because it's not like you're done, like, oh
Right.
yeah, Dora, you're healed, it's a lifelong thing. What do you like do to help you to not listen to that voice, or not like just impulsively go after everything?
So recently, I'll just share a recent experience because it's top of mind. But a recent experience, I was in some dialogue with some other women that are in recovery and have been sober a long time, and we were talking about this. We were talking about what does it look like to have this ideal life that doesn't include the more, or the overachieving, or the right. And so the dialogue, what we all of us walked away with, was the universe, also known as God, whatever you want to call it. So the universe, also known as God, I call it God, doesn't want us living in fear, participating in defects of character on a daily basis. So the universe doesn't want us living in fear, participating in our character defects on a daily basis. But what the universe does want us to do is have the perfect objective of an ideal life, which is of the universe, versus a self-inflicted, self-determined goal. And so we live this life where overachievers and overachievers in recovery say, I have a goal, I'm determined, I'm going to go reach it, I'm going to reach it, I'm going to reach it. And then when we reach it, there's another goal, right? Versus accepting and divinely waiting patiently for the perfect objective to transpire in your life, which is of the universe and which is of God. And if that's the ideal, right? So I get in my way. I always get in my way, and those darn character defects and fear gets in my way. But God and the universe, they just want me to have the perfect objective if I would just get out of the way and let them.
Yes. So really having harmony with timing, that timing's on our side, and not having to rush things, that
Trust.
things have to be, yeah, trust. Yes. Trusting the process, trusting that everything is working in our favor. And that takes a lot of patience, right? And like, instead of moving so much, right? It helps
Yeah.
us to slow down. And I think especially with your human design type, and we'll get into this, your human design type loves to move,
Oh,
and go,
yeah.
go, go,
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
And that trust is an internal alignment. It's an internal
Mhm.
anchor into our soul of like, so how, when you're like in this moment where you're like, I just want to go, I just want to do, how do you
Yeah.
trust more? What do you actually do to trust more?
So my mornings are pretty sacred. So my mornings, for
Mm,
years, I didn't have a sacred morning. For years, I did not allow myself to start my day with no producing of anything, right? So the moment I woke up, I was doing something and I was producing for years. And for years, it was necessary. I was taking care of kids. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was taking care of my mom. It was like Nike. I just did it. But I have, over the last decade or more, my sacred mornings have become a ritual in how I begin the day learning how to trust, because it's not just like, hey, I'm going to trust today. So it's a morning ritual. So I start my mornings with meditation, with reading meditation books, and with spending time by myself, saying, here you go. Here you go.
yeah.
I'll do the possible, you do the rest, because your outcome is way bigger and better than mine.
Yeah, I feel like it's that release of, and again, coming back to the anchor of like, this feeling you're recreating each morning to anchor you in through the themes of the day. Because again, we're human, right? And we're just going to be
Mhm.
like, ah, you know?
We're human.
And yeah, I know. And it's like that time to reset and to refeel. And I love
Mm.
doing this with manifestation, with prayer, with any goals, events, programs that I have. I love to feel what does the energy of that thing that I really want,
Mhm.
not just the doing of it, but just like the being in it. Like, what does
Mhm.
it feel like having to serve and love and encourage other people and facilitate this growth? What kind of like relationship do I want with God? And like, what kind of gratitude
Mhm.
do I bring to that? Like
Mhm.
feeling those feelings and giving myself time to do that instead of being on a clock with,
Right.
like, oh, I don't have time to do that because I don't think we don't have time to not do it. Do you know? And
Right.
it doesn't have to be long, it can be short,
Mhm.
impactful, but anchoring in those sacred spaces
Mhm.
is such a meaningful way to have so much better productivity
Mhm.
and better aligned productivity too. So,
Yeah.
and this goes with your human design chart. So, just so well. So everybody listening, right, who's like, "Oh my gosh, I just love to go 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 and do do do." Well, a lot of that comes from your manifesting generator energy.
Mhm.
And so that is your human design type. Now, a type is like this that anchor point, this foundation, and with all these other parts of your human design that helps you know the gifts that you were born with and how you operate best. So the mantra for this is I bring ideas to life with energy and vision. You are this initiating powerhouse. You love to pioneer new ways of doing things, and you have the stamina to bring it into reality. And people look to you because you can get it done and you can build it quick too. You're not messing around. You're like, do do do, done. So, with this trailblazing energy, right, you also have this gift of multitasking. A lot of times there's this business mantras that out there that are like, let's just focus in on one specific thing. But
Mhm.
your gifts are better when you're in dimension, when
Mm.
you have lots of different loves and passions, and you're not trying to fix them into a box, but you're
Mhm.
just going with it in this multitasking way of how you do build your day, but also how you build programs and backing that up with this multi-passionate energy of loving lots of different things. So, one of the great tools with a manifesting generator is to follow what's lighting you up. Like that sparkly light up feeling that like, oh, I'm so excited about this. This is so great. So, where in your business do you feel most lit up right now?
I I would say the book, continuing to let the heart cell book evolve and take it places where I wasn't sure it was going to be taken, and seeing where that's been a huge light up.
Yeah, tell us about the book. Tell us like, yeah.
So I wrote the heart cell over a 2-year period, and it's a memoir how to. So it's the story of I gave you a little tidbit, and it's my story. It's also the love story of my mother and I. And then it's all of my curriculum, and the curriculum has been 20 years of curriculum that I developed into intellectual property. It's what I use with women founders and with corporations and entrepreneurs. And so I wrote the book. It was published a year ago. I've been saying it's the sales book that all the women are reading right now. So if you're like, I don't know how to find my clients and I can't figure this out, this is the book for you. So I've been taking it to different arenas and different venues, and it's just been really exciting. It's been really lighting me up to the point where I'm gonna fly out to New York City in a few weeks and do some Times Square ad with it.
Gosh, oh, you're gonna get the picture of yourself. Like, oh, I can't wait. That's just so freaking
Yeah.
awesome. That's amazing. And I know
You know someone else that's gonna be doing that with me, by the way.
who's that?
Erin.
Oh, you guys.
Yeah. For
Okay, I'm
my
gonna love that.
It'll be cute. It's my birthday weekend, so we're kind of doing that together. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh, that's amazing. And really like sharing the story of your mom, you know? And we connected on this because your mom had MS and I have MS, and just the journey through that really terrible autoimmune disease that's considered a disability, you know? Like it is disabling. How did that influence your book?
I wrote it for my mom. Like when I lost my mom, I didn't know if I'd ever be able to like feel love like I had felt with my mom. Like we just had an incredible love story. That love just dissipated. Like she knew how to love so big, like just loved so big. So I wrote the book really to just honor her and to let her know that this trailblazing manifesting generator that she built, I do it all for her.
That
Yeah.
and that is such a beautiful way to honor her, you know?
Yeah.
So with your manifesting generator energy, you have all these multi-passionate things that you love, right? And that's good, you know? And we don't want to box you in. That's the antithesis of MG is like, do not micromanage their likes. Do not try to put them in a box. They're not supposed to do one specific thing. But how do you're also still a human being that needs to sleep, you know? How do you manage your multi-passionate nature without burning out?
So what's interesting with my manifesting generator human design is that it comes out instead of in creativity, it comes out in strategic planning. So when it comes to multi-passionate, it's more multi-strategic planning. So I can take an idea, right, and I can bring it to life, but I can do that with formal strategy. Like I say so often, I'm a roadmap deliverer. So I get to do that all the time with multiple different businesses. So that's where I get to bring that multi-passionate, that multi-strength into the world. Is I can work with you whether you're starting a candy company or you're scaling a consulting company, that I can use this roadmap and we can get in there and build the mosaic puzzle together. I think that's how I have streamlined that multi-passionate avenue.
Yeah. And does it always feel like when you're in that zone where you feel sparkly and like excited and stuff like that? Like it's like really like it feels like a lit up feeling, right?
It totally does.
And how if someone's trying to like, especially for an MG who's trying to find their sparkly thing, you know, trying to find what really lights them up, can you describe more of that feeling like when they're like, you know, like what energy does it give to you? What does it feel like?
I love that you're asking me this. That's so sweet. I kind of have to give like context around
Yes.
how I
Yes.
got there. So like I'm picturing last week, I was really sick. I had walking pneumonia, and I had a commitment when I got back from Alaska. I had a commitment to meet a one-on-one client in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, for a 2-day one-on-one retreat where we were going to benchmark and build out this thing that she's bringing to her clients. And I was so sick, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to go. But it was responsibility. I had to go. Like everything was already teed up. I had to go, and she knew I was sick, so I got there. And even though I was really sick, it was still had that like, I don't want to be anywhere else but here, even though I'm really sick. I didn't want to be anywhere else but in that space with her doing that thing. And I think that's the best feeling. That's like truly living in your purpose, when even though you feel like whatever you feel, you still don't want to be in any other place but that place. That's a really great feeling. But how I got there is even more important. And how I got there is there's a lot of sparkly things out there, right? There's so many sparkly things. And so I had to really take some time. And when I mean by take time, I mean more than 20 minutes. Other MGs out there, um, time meaning I needed to sit down, pen to paper, and I needed to look at all of my experiences over the last 20 years. And I need to look at those experiences that I've been through where that have been a really big impact to me and to whoever that was surrounding me. And then I needed to write all those experiences down, and I needed to take them to people that were openly objective, that could hear me without giving me advice. They could just hear me. And from there, I needed to take that to prayer and meditation so I could then have the clarity to follow what this MG really wanted to follow. Where we get stuck is where we are looking on the outside at others saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm really good at that, so I should do that." Like Erin and I, she's my business bestie. We are basically the same person. She has just as much, our expertises are very similar. We are, but we do very different things. And that's because we decided that this is what really lights us up. And we figured that out through all of our experiences. Like I could go be a fractional CFO and teach you all about numbers, but that doesn't light me up. What does is road mapping and like all those things. But I had to go figure that out internally versus saying, "Oh, I could go do what Erin does. I should do that."
Yes, to really honor the truth that your soul is saying. And that takes listening and that takes time, And again, going back to this overworking and just go, 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 that doesn't allow us to think and feel and to really honor what's the truth is coming in. And truth takes a little time, It's not an overnight process. And I think we always think this should be out in a day. We should have this, decisively here right now. And it doesn't. It takes some more time, and that's okay, One of the strategies for MGs to invest in is say no to the shoulds. So all those shoulds that we think we should do, we think we should be a part of, that either society or internal, external, whatever it is, drop those. Be courageous enough to say no. Just because you can do a lot of things doesn't mean you should. So
Super
all right.
helpful.
So yes.
I just wrote down no is, my grandma used to say, no is a full sentence, honey. You can just say no.
Yes. Just say no. Yes, totally. And honor that. Be like, no, this is not for me right now. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass on this. Those are other phrases we can use to help land it. One of the other parts in your chart is when we're looking at the body graph, right? And we're looking at this, there's centers on the body graph that are colored in white or they're colored in green. And they almost kind of look like they line up with chakras or parts of the body. Well, one of your green centers, and a green center means you have this gift all the time. You're born with this gift, is your communication center. So it's around the throat center. And the mantra for this is, my voice moves people. You have the gift of powerfully communicating and being magnetic in your communications. You can land your messages, whether they're like fun or whatever that is. You have this ability to land your messages. Your voice holds truth and momentum. And when you speak this from a place of genuine space and authentic truth to you, people will listen and they'll take action on that truth. Did you ever, have you ever felt the pressure to say what's expected or to do what's expected,
I don't know, but I'm still like all about this. Holy shit, everything that you just said is so correct. Well, I mean, because I don't know if like but I've been told a lot, especially in the corporate world, I'm really bossy. Like I have. So that like leadership style, I was, ask my husband as well. But in my business,
Yes.
that's what I do every day is coach, right? So
Yes.
you hire me to tell you what to do, or help you figure out, what to do. But beyond that, timing, I've never been afraid of being visible. No one has ever given me a mic that I didn't want to not give back. Like, give me the mic and it's mine. Like, you're not getting the microphone back. So put me on the stage is what I'm saying. But I only want to be on the stage if I am in front of an audience that's willing to hear, like that's willing to listen. And I actually got that from recovery, from sobriety. I got that because when you get sober, you're in a room of people that are all trying to get sober too. They all have these demons. They all have this stuff. They all have this yuck in their life. And they come into a room and they're not judged. And then not only are they not judged, but they're in a room where someone is taking a mic and saying, let me tell you my story of what happened, what it was like, and then what I do now. And so I learned how to connect, communicate, speak, all in church basements because of 12-step recovery. And no idea. That was one of those experiences that took me to say, oh, yeah.
Yes. Well, and that, I think for people who have this defined throat, who are feeling this like, I don't feel like I have this gift. I kind of like can't speak really well in public. I think that's the part that with gifts, they still need practice. You know, they still need refinement. We still get to play around with these gifts. It's not going to be perfect, and that's not what we're looking for. But we're just looking for authentic and realness and trust in ourselves. I also have this gift, and when I go to speak on stage, I get so nervous. And part of my MS that's in my head is like, can you really do this? What are you thinking? Are you going to like, you know, because all these symptoms come on at random times. But I've also learned really well to adapt, you know? And it's changing the script in my head that I can trust myself, that I was born with this gift. And so I can do it. It's going to be okay. And it's actually going to be fun. And so lean into the fun, lean into the process of it, you know? And the strategy with this to invest in is you play with this thought of how could I have this gift? How could I use it more? How could I use it more? And that's something to journal out. That's something to play around with. And I do this with my gift. And with this, I've done this too. And I'm like, well, instead of typing out messages, could I just voicemail? And it's so much easier. Or this is how the podcast came to be. I was like, I have this gift. What could I do? What could I play around with it? And I'm like, why not I build a podcast? And then I tried it and I was like, this is actually fun. You know, those type of things. So
that's smart.
Yeah. So another center that just stood out to me on your chart is a white center on your human design chart. If you're looking at it, it's on the right side. It's your emotional center. It's a triangle kind of tipped to the side. And your mantra for this is, I am calm, cool, and collected. So you have this ability to hold space for other people without being with this calming influence of them, you know? Like when crap hits the fan, Dora's on the team, you know? They want you. And you have this real empathy. You can really feel other people's feelings. You can really read the room. That's what's the beauty of this. When we look at white centers, their gifts come in ebbs and flows. So you're going to have your own emotions, but you're going to be able to also be deeply connected to other people. Not only do these gifts come in ebbs and flows, but they have a deep connection to other people. And so, like, how have you carried someone else's emotional load and forgotten that it's actually not yours?
So I am not a codependent, but what I am is extremely heart-centered when it comes to relationship building. Like, relationships are my everything. And it's so funny because last night I was on a call with one of my clients, and she is an analyzer. She's probably in human design like a projector is maybe what she would be.
Okay.
But all she thinks about is end result. How do I get to the end result? And she does not see the point in relationships. When I say, what's the point of relationships? She says, I have no idea. Why do we have to have them?
Okay, she's an overanalyzer. Yes.
She can build a data center. My gosh, she is a builder, and oh my God, so efficient. But when I say, what's the point of a relationship? She's like, I don't understand the point. And to me, they are everything. They are absolutely everything. So I think that answers it when you say the triangles tipping and the ebb and the I can read people. It is because I sincerely am interested in all of you.
Yeah. And that makes you such a good coach too, because when people come to the table, you're feeling their feelings, you're
Yeah.
understanding, and you can really use that as information, that
Yeah.
understanding as information. And so, really, the strategy here is to take time to decompress after intense energy. Do you know?
Mm.
So that you're not picking up and holding on to their baggage.
Mm.
You're releasing what's not yours, but you took in the information that you needed at the moment,
Yeah.
and you can really release that to flow away from you
I
at
think
that time.
where I actually really struggle, I can
Yes.
release their energy, but where I struggle is inauthentic energy. So I can pick up really quickly if you're not authentic. I can pick up really quickly if you're a BSer. And that I hold on to, that I ruminate on. Because it's like, I don't like it. I
Because
don't
it
like
bugs
it.
you.
It does. It bugs me.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. And those are not your people, but
Right.
because you're so empathetic and you're feeling that connection so much and it bugs you so much, which I
Mhm.
get, because it also drives me crazy. I feel like it feels noisy and heavy,
Yeah.
right? And so really coming up with a ritual that says, okay, I can release that
Mhm.
person's energy. They're having this kind of hold on me. And it can be movement, especially for an MG. It can be like, hey, I'm going to go outside and look at the nature.
Mhm.
And I know you love that. So like
Mhm.
you can connect with something that's on your joy list in
Mhm.
order to dispel that yuck
Yeah.
energy, and
Mhm.
not hold on to it. Cause yeah, I get that totally. One other part on your chart that just stood out to me is there's these lines on the human design chart. They look like road maps and stuff like that, road lines. And when they're colored in, they're considered either gates or channels. They're basically the same thing. And these are more gifts that you were born with, more characteristics that you have. So it's just really exciting to see all these. And the one that really stood out to me is gate 48. And the mantra for this is I am a beacon of integrity.
Mm.
You have this gift of depth, discernment, wholehearted truth. Probably that's why. Oh, this is so funny because I was just thinking when those like inauthentic people really bug you, this is kind of triggering this like authenticity.
To
Authenticity?
city?
Yeah. For you is everything because it's real connection, it's real honor.
Mhm.
And you have this intuitive clarity that helps you act from these deep values and model what truth looks like. And people need that. I think that's why they're so drawn to you because you're not going to BS them. You're not going to be like, well, nah, and you're not going to be like, um, oh, icky
Mhm.
energy. But you have this beacon of integrity. And what does living with this like integrity feel like and look like to you?
That's a broad question.
It really is. You take it where you want to take it.
My goodness. As you can tell, it kind of always goes back to some type of relationship or conversation or impact someone has made on me. You know what? I'm gonna give the story of recent. This is a good one. So being in the coaching industry, coming from world and then building out a startup myself, a tech startup myself, I was not familiar with the coaching industry at all. I didn't even know there was a thing, 5 years ago. And so when I started coaching, I just came as me. I just said, "Okay, I don't know what you want to call me. Call me a business coach. Call me whatever." And or you can just call me Dora, and it still says that on my LinkedIn. But I went through a process of connecting with people that were really had been in the coaching industry a lot longer than I had. And one of them in particular really wanted to partner with me. And so I did. I partnered with her because she had been in the industry much longer than me. And what had happened through the process is that it did not end well. It was a short stint, thank goodness, but it did not end well. And what didn't end well is that I bought in to someone else's thing because I was approval seeking. I was seeking, well, they know more. So I need to join in with them because they know more. And I didn't cross off the integrity box. I didn't know enough to cross off the integrity box. But what that experience taught me wasn't so much to blame them for being a jerk, but what it taught me is that I always need to check off that integrity box no matter what relationship I'm going into, especially professionally. And so that's what I do. I go through and make sure that it checks off my integrity box before I link arms with them, whether it's a client, a partner, podcast, any of it.
What does that look like when you're checking off the integrity box? Do you have like certain qualifications, or is it a feeling?
It's typically a do I trust you? Do I like you? And have I seen you do good things just because you're doing good things, not because you're trying to get
Oh,
something out of it?
yes. Yes. Like, I guess their real intention,
Mhm.
behind that. And that really, again, lights up with your honest commitment to bring good things to the world, and honestly bring those things there. And really with this strategy is to course correct when we
Mm,
make choices that are like misaligned,
yeah,
because we all do that. I mean, come on,
yeah,
like, and I was
right.
just making some business choices that felt really heavy. And I was like, wait a second. If it feels heavy, then something's off. And I can check, either is it a fear of mine, or is it maybe we need to pivot a little and like do this something differently. And that piece is still at the center of how I do things.
Hmm.
And that's not at the center of this. It feels yucky. So I can
Hmm.
really lean into that. So
Hmm.
I think that's really important for you as you bring about this gift even more. So, Dora, I could talk to you all day, all day, all
Yeah,
day. This
it's
has been
fun.
so freaking amazing. Thank you
It's fun.
so much.
And
I know.
you've given me so much. Thank you so much. There's all these strategies and mantras, and I've been gate 48s. I've been writing them down.
My goodness, yes. Oh, I love it. Well, I know that people want to jump into your world. I know my audience wants to get in connection with you. How do they do that best?
So I'm going to be providing a link to the Heart Cell. So the Heart Cell is a book and the Heart Cell is a course. So I'm going to give you a nice little treat when it comes to the Heart Cell course. You guys can peek at that and decide if you want to come into my world.
That's perfect. That's excellent. I love that. And listeners, thank you so much for being on. Make sure that you go on to the link below and pull your human design chart from my site, and you'll get deeper insights into like who you are, what you were born to do, and support yourself through this journey, because peace is really the investment and the strategy to get exactly where you need to be. All right, we'll see you all in the next episode.